12 black celebrities who secretly born male. For decades, Hollywood sold the world a perfect image of beauty, fame, and glamour. But behind the cameras were black transgender stars fighting battles most people never saw. Some were rejected by their families. Some lost careers after revealing the truth about who they were. Others survived homelessness, violence, and humiliation before finally stepping into the spotlight on their own terms. Yet despite every obstacle, icons like Laverne Cox, Tracy Norman, T.S. Madison, and Janet Mock shattered barriers the entertainment industry once claimed could never be broken. But here's the uncomfortable question many people still debate today. Did Hollywood truly accept these pioneers, or simply profit from their pain once society started paying attention? Watch until the end, then tell us your honest opinion in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join Memory Lane Black People for more untold stories Hollywood tried to hide. Laverne Cox. Before becoming one of the most recognizable transgender women in the world, Laverne Cox was a child growing up in Alabama feeling isolated, misunderstood, and constantly judged for her femininity. Raised in a strict religious environment, she faced relentless bullying throughout her childhood. The emotional pain became so severe that at only 11 years old, she attempted suicide, a heartbreaking experience she later shared publicly to help others struggling in silence. But Laverne refused to let pain define her future. After moving to New York City, she studied dance and acting while quietly beginning her transition. At that time, openly transgender black women were almost invisible in Hollywood. Opportunities were rare, and most trans characters were either mocked or misunderstood on screen. Everything changed in 2013 when she appeared as Sophia Bursette in Netflix's Orange is the New Black. Her performance as a transgender woman trying to survive prison life with dignity and humanity touched millions of viewers around the world. Sophia was emotional, funny, vulnerable, and real. For many audiences, it was the first time they had truly connected with a black trans character on mainstream television. In 2014, Laverne made history as the first openly transgender person nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in an acting category. Suddenly, she became more than an actress. She became a symbol of visibility and courage for people who had spent years feeling unseen. Even after surviving a transphobic attack in 2020, Laverne continued speaking openly about violence against trans women and the importance of self-acceptance. Today, her story stands as proof that authenticity can survive even the harshest rejection and still inspire millions around the world. Tracy Norman. Tracy Norman lived a life filled with beauty, success, and heartbreaking silence. Long before conversations about transgender visibility entered mainstream culture, she had already become one of the first black transgender women to succeed in high fashion. But during the 1970s, revealing that truth could instantly destroy a career. Born in Newark, New Jersey in 1952, Tracy knew from childhood that she identified as female. Yet growing up during that era meant living carefully because society offered little understanding or protection for transgender people. Despite the fear, Tracy pursued modeling with determination and quickly caught the attention of major agencies in New York. Her elegance and striking appearance helped her land major opportunities, including features in Essence magazine and campaigns for Clairol's famous Born Beautiful hair color line. At the height of her career, few people in the fashion world knew she was transgender. But everything changed after someone recognized her during a photo shoot and exposed her identity publicly. Almost overnight, the industry turned against her. Modeling contracts disappeared, bookings stopped, and doors that once opened easily suddenly closed. In an era when fashion celebrated glamour but feared authenticity, Tracy was quietly pushed out of the spotlight. In 2016, Clairol welcomed her back for a new campaign celebrating identity and authenticity, giving her a second chance at the spotlight she never should have lost. Today, Tracy Norman is remembered not only as a beautiful model, but as a pioneer who helped open doors long before the world was ready to acknowledge her courage. M.J. Rodriguez. M.J. Rodriguez spent years dreaming about a Hollywood that barely seemed to exist for women like her. Before the awards, red carpets, and worldwide recognition, she was a young black trans woman from Newark, New Jersey, struggling to find acceptance in a society that constantly questioned her identity. Yet through talent, resilience, and emotional strength, MJ slowly transformed herself into one of the most groundbreaking actresses of her generation. Born in 1991 and assigned male at birth, MJ discovered her love for music and acting at an early age. Performing became both an escape and a lifeline during difficult teenage years filled with bullying and isolation. While many people around her failed to understand who she truly was, MJ quietly held on to her dream of becoming an entertainer. During her late teens, she began embracing her transition while studying performing arts and searching for opportunities in theater. Her first major breakthrough came in the musical Rent, where her powerful voice and emotional stage presence immediately captured attention. But the role that changed everything arrived in 2018 with FX's Pose. Playing Blanca Evangelista, a compassionate housemother protecting LGBTQ+ youth during the AIDS crisis, MJ delivered a performance filled with warmth, dignity, and heartbreaking vulnerability. Audiences connected deeply with Blanca because she represented survival, love, and chosen family during one of the most painful periods in LGBTQ+ history. In 2021, MJ made history as the first transgender woman nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in a major acting category. It was a milestone that proved trans actresses could no longer be ignored by mainstream television. Beyond acting, MJ continues pursuing music while speaking openly about mental health, identity, and representation. Her story is powerful not because fame arrived easily, but because she kept believing in herself during years when Hollywood barely believed women like her deserved a place on screen at all. Laith Ashley. Born in Harlem to a Dominican family, Laith spent much of his early life trying to fit expectations that never truly matched who he was inside. Growing up, he followed a traditional path through sports and school while privately struggling with gender identity. By his 20s, the emotional pressure became impossible to ignore. Laith made the life-changing decision to begin transitioning, stepping into an uncertain future without knowing how society would respond. Before fame arrived, he worked as a social worker helping young people while documenting parts of his transition online. Those photos and videos quickly spread across social media because audiences were drawn not only to his appearance, but also to his honesty and confidence. At a time when transgender men rarely appeared in mainstream fashion campaigns, Laith suddenly became impossible to overlook. Modeling opportunities exploded. He worked with major brands, appeared in magazines around the world, and became one of the first openly transgender men to gain major visibility in the fashion industry. But Laith never wanted to be known only for his looks. Music and acting soon became important parts of his career as well, allowing him to express deeper emotional parts of his journey. What makes Laith Ashley stand out is the way he openly discusses masculinity, race, identity, and the challenges of being both Black and Latino within the LGBTQ+ community. Rather than softening his personality for public approval, he built his career through authenticity. Today, Laith represents a new era of visibility, where transgender men are no longer hidden in the background. His story reminds audiences that true confidence does not come from fitting society's expectations. It comes from finally becoming yourself without apology. Angelica Ross. Angelica Ross built her life from pain most people never saw. Before becoming a respected actress, entrepreneur, and activist, She was a young black trans woman struggling with rejection, homelessness, and isolation in a society that constantly tried to erase people like her. But instead of allowing those experiences to destroy her spirit, Angelica transformed them into fuel for one of the most inspiring journeys in modern entertainment. Born in Wisconsin in 1980 and assigned male at birth, Angelica grew up in a strict religious household where expressing femininity often led to punishment and emotional pain. As a teenager, she faced bullying, instability, and deep depression while trying to understand her identity. At one point, overwhelmed by hopelessness, she attempted suicide. But surviving that darkness changed her perspective completely. Angelica decided she would no longer live hiding who she truly was. Before acting success arrived, she taught herself computer programming and launched Trans Tech Social Enterprises, a company helping transgender people gain technology skills and employment opportunities. While Hollywood was still debating whether trans stories mattered, Angelica was already creating real opportunities for her community outside the entertainment industry. Then came Pose in 2018, playing Candy Ferocity, a bold and unforgettable ballroom performer. Angelica delivered one of the show's most emotional storylines. Her performance captured both the glamour and tragedy faced by many black trans women during the AIDS crisis. Audiences praised her honesty, vulnerability, and fierce screen presence. She later joined American Horror Story, becoming one of the first black transgender actresses to secure major recurring roles in a mainstream television franchise. In 2022, she also made Broadway history as the first openly transgender woman to play Roxy Hart in Chicago. Today, Angelica Ross is far more than a television star. She represents resilience, intelligence, and fearless authenticity in an industry that once refused to acknowledge people like her at all. Jackie Shane. Jackie Shane lived decades ahead of her time. Long before conversations about transgender identity entered mainstream culture, Jackie was already standing on stage in glamorous dresses, singing soul music with confidence, and refusing to apologize for who she was. During the 1950s and 60s, that kind of visibility was not just rare for a black trans woman, it was dangerous. Born in Nashville in 1940 and assigned male at birth, Jackie grew up during segregation in the American South, where strict gender expectations and racism shaped everyday life. But from an early age, Jackie refused to hide her femininity completely. She carried herself with elegance, confidence, and an almost magnetic stage presence that audiences could never ignore. After moving to Toronto in the early 1960s, Jackie became a sensation in the city's nightclub scene. Her performances blended soul, rhythm and blues, and raw emotional storytelling in ways that captivated crowds instantly. Songs like Any Other Way became underground classics, especially because Jackie performed them with open confidence about identity and self-expression. At a time when most entertainers carefully hid anything considered controversial, Jackie stood under the spotlight exactly as she wanted to be seen. But fame also brought danger. Society during that era was deeply hostile toward openly gender non-conforming people, especially black performers. Despite growing popularity, Jackie eventually stepped away from the music industry and disappeared from public life for decades. Many fans believed she had vanished completely. Then, years later, younger generations rediscovered her music and realized how groundbreaking she truly was. In 2017, Jackie finally received renewed recognition when her work was reissued and celebrated by critics and historians who acknowledged her influence on soul music and transgender visibility. When Jackie Shane passed away in 2019 at age 78, she left behind more than songs. She left behind a legacy of courage, individuality, and defiance that continues inspiring artists and LGBTQ+ communities around the world today. Dominique Jackson. Dominique Jackson's rise to fame was not built in luxury or comfort. It was built through survival. Long before she became a global television star, Dominique was a young transgender woman fleeing rejection, violence, and poverty while trying to create a life where she could finally feel safe. Her story is not just about Hollywood success. It is about endurance in the face of constant hardship. Born in Tobago in 1976 and assigned male at birth, Dominique spent much of her childhood feeling isolated and misunderstood. Growing up in a deeply conservative environment, expressing femininity often brought criticism and emotional pain. As a teenager, she eventually moved to the United States, searching for freedom and opportunity. But life there was far from easy. Like many trans women of color during that period, Dominique struggled with homelessness, instability, and discrimination simply for existing openly as herself. Everything began changing when she discovered New York City's ballroom culture. Inside that underground world, filled with fashion, performance, and chosen families, Dominique finally found belonging. Ballroom became more than entertainment. It became survival. There, she developed the confidence and fierce presence that would later make her unforgettable on screen. Her breakthrough arrived in 2018 with FX's Pose. Playing Electra Abundance, a glamorous but emotionally wounded house mother, Dominique delivered one of television's most commanding performances. Electra was sharp, intimidating, vulnerable, and deeply human all at once. Audiences instantly connected with her strength and hidden pain. Outside acting, Dominique also became a respected model, working with major fashion brands while advocating for transgender rights and immigrant visibility. What makes her story so powerful is not only the fame she achieved, but the grace she maintained after surviving years of rejection. Dominique Jackson represents resilience, reinvention, and the courage to keep shining even when the world once tried to push her into darkness. Trace Lysette. Trace Lysette spent years chasing a dream Hollywood barely wanted to offer transgender women. Before becoming one of the most respected trans actresses in television and film, she worked quietly behind the scenes of nightlife and entertainment, carrying the fear that revealing her identity too openly could destroy every opportunity she had fought to build. Born in Kentucky in 1981 and assigned male at birth, Trace grew up in a conservative environment where traditional gender expectations shaped everyday life. From a young age, she felt disconnected from the identity society forced onto her. But openly living as a transgender woman during that era came with enormous risk. After leaving home, Trace supported herself through nightclub dancing, while slowly pursuing acting opportunities in Los Angeles. For years, Hollywood offered very little space for transgender performers outside stereotypes or mockery. Yet Trace remained determined to prove trans women could portray real, emotionally layered characters. That breakthrough finally arrived in 2014 with Amazon's Transparent. Playing Shay, a transgender yoga teacher navigating love, heartbreak, and survival, Trace delivered a performance praised for its honesty and vulnerability. In 2017, she made headlines again after publicly accusing Transparent star Jeffrey Tambor of sexual harassment. Speaking out carried enormous personal and professional risk, but Trace refused to remain silent. Her decision sparked wider conversations in Hollywood about power, accountability, and the treatment of transgender performers in the entertainment industry. She later appeared in the hit film Hustlers, alongside Jennifer Lopez, helping normalize trans actresses in mainstream cinema without reducing them only to discussions about identity. Today, Trace Lysette is recognized not only for her talent, but also for her courage in challenging an industry that once expected women like her to stay invisible. Janet Mock. Janet Mock didn't become influential because Hollywood welcomed her with open arms. She became influential because she refused to stay silent in a world that often tried to erase transgender voices completely. Intelligent, fearless, and deeply honest, Janet transformed personal struggle into storytelling that changed modern television forever. Born in Hawaii in 1983 and assigned male at birth, Janet spent much of her childhood battling confusion, instability, and isolation. Growing up in a working-class family, she experienced bullying, poverty, and emotional hardship, while quietly understanding that the gender assigned to her did not reflect who she truly was inside. During her teenage years, Janet secretly began hormone therapy while trying to survive school, family pressure, and society's expectations all at once. At 18 years old, she traveled to Thailand for gender confirmation surgery, a life-changing decision she later described openly in interviews and writing. What made Janet different from many public figures was her willingness to discuss not only success, but also pain, survival, and vulnerability. She never tried to present her journey as glamorous or easy. After earning a journalism degree from New York University, Janet worked at People magazine before publicly sharing her story in 2011. Her honesty immediately attracted national attention. Then came her best-selling memoir, Redefining Realness, which became one of the most important books ever written by a Black transgender woman. But Janet's greatest impact came through television. As a writer, director, and producer on FX's Pose, she helped create one of the most groundbreaking LGBTQ+ dramas in television history. In 2018, she became the first trans woman of color to write and direct an episode of television, a major milestone in Hollywood representation. Lena Bloom. Lena Bloom's rise to international fame was never just about beauty. It was about visibility. Long before major fashion brands embraced diversity publicly, Lena was already challenging old standards simply by existing confidently as a Black and Asian transgender woman in industries that rarely made space for women like her. Born in Chicago in 1990 and assigned male at birth, Lena grew up in a difficult environment shaped by poverty, instability, and identity struggles. Raised by a Black father after her Filipina mother was deported, she discovered dance and performance early in life as a way to escape hardship. While navigating her transition during her teenage years, Lena trained intensely in ballet and modern dance, hoping talent alone could open doors. But traditional entertainment industries often rejected transgender performers outright. Instead of giving up, Lena reinvented herself in New York City's ballroom culture and underground fashion scene, spaces where creativity and self-expression were celebrated rather than hidden. There, she developed the confidence and striking presence that would later make her unforgettable on international runways. Her breakthrough came in 2017 when she became the first openly transgender woman of color featured in Vogue India. Soon after, she walked major fashion runways and built a growing reputation as one of the most influential transgender models in the world. Then came another historic moment. In 2019, Lena starred in Port Authority, becoming the first Black trans actress to lead a film premiering at the Cannes Film Festival. 2 years later, she made history again as the first openly transgender woman of color featured in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. But beyond fashion and film, Lena has consistently spoken about racism, transphobia, and the importance of representation. Her success carries emotional weight because it represents far more than personal achievement. For many people who once felt invisible, Lena Bloom became proof that beauty, elegance, and authenticity could finally exist without apology in the spotlight. T.S. Madison. T.S. Madison never waited for Hollywood's approval. Loud, fearless, hilarious, and unapologetically authentic, she built her career in a world that often tried to silence Black transgender women completely. Long before mainstream television embraced trans visibility, Madison was already turning pain, rejection, and survival into a powerful voice that millions of people could no longer ignore. Born in Miami in 1977 and assigned male at birth, Madison grew up in a deeply religious environment where expressing femininity often brought criticism and emotional pain. As a teenager, she experienced homelessness and rejection while struggling simply to live openly as herself. Survival became part of everyday life. Without support or protection, Madison turned to online entertainment and adult content during an era when very few transgender creators had access to mainstream opportunities. But what separated T.S. Madison from everyone else was her personality. Her humor, honesty, and larger-than-life energy quickly made her unforgettable online. Viral videos and internet fame introduced audiences to someone who refused to hide or apologize for her identity. While many public figures carefully controlled their image, Madison built her success through raw authenticity. Over time, that online popularity evolved into mainstream success. In 2021, she made history with the T.S. Madison Experience, becoming the first Black transgender woman to both star in and executive produce her own reality television series. She later expanded into acting, podcasting, and activism while continuing to speak openly about body positivity, LGBTQ+ rights, and the challenges faced by trans women of color. Her visibility reached an even larger audience when Beyoncé featured her voice on the Grammy-winning album Renaissance, introducing T.S. Madison's energy and influence to millions around the world. Yet despite fame, Madison never lost the honesty that first connected her with audiences. Today, T.S. Madison represents more than celebrity culture. She represents survival without shame, confidence without permission, and the power of embracing yourself loudly in a world that once demanded silence. India Moore. India Moore's story begins with rejection, survival, and extraordinary resilience. Long before becoming an internationally recognized actor and fashion icon, India was a teenager struggling through homelessness and instability while trying to protect their identity in a world that constantly judged them. But instead of breaking under that pressure, India transformed pain into power and became one of the most influential transgender voices of a new generation. Born in New York City in 1995 and assigned male at birth, India grew up in the Bronx in a difficult environment shaped by poverty, bullying, and emotional conflict. Their femininity and gender expression often made school and home life painful experiences. By the age of 14, tensions became so overwhelming that India entered foster care and later experienced periods of homelessness. During those difficult years, fashion and modeling became an escape. Their striking appearance and natural confidence quickly attracted attention in New York's creative scene. Soon, India began modeling for major brands and appearing in fashion campaigns that challenged traditional beauty standards. But acting would change everything. In 2018, India joined the cast of FX's Pose as Angel Evangelista, a young transgender woman navigating love, heartbreak, and survival during New York's ballroom era. Angel's vulnerability, ambition, and emotional depth made her one of the series' most beloved characters. Through that role, India helped introduce mainstream audiences to stories Hollywood had ignored for decades. Outside television, India became known for outspoken activism surrounding racial justice, transgender rights, and mental health awareness. They consistently challenged media stereotypes and pushed for more authentic representation of marginalized communities. In 2019, India made history as the first transgender person featured on the cover of Elle magazine in the United States. Yet despite fame and recognition, they remain deeply connected to activism and community support. India Moore's journey is powerful because it proves visibility can become a form of resistance. In an industry that once erased people like them, India chose to stand fully in the spotlight without compromise. These stars didn't just fight for fame, they fought to exist in an industry that often refused to see them as human. From Laverne Cox breaking television history, to Tracy Norman losing her modeling career after being outed, to icons like T.S. Madison, Janet Mock, and India Moore refusing to stay silent, every one of them carried pain behind the spotlight. Some viewers believe Hollywood has finally changed and become more accepting. Others argue the industry still profits from trans stories, while many LGBTQ+ people continue facing discrimination behind closed doors. So what do you think? Has Hollywood truly evolved, or are these pioneers still battling the same system in a different form? Share your honest thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join Memory Lane Black People for more untold stories from Black entertainment history.